All right, what's up, everyone? Let's get started. We are going to be talking about a lot of things today. Apologize in advance if this video is a little bit longer than my normal videos, but we have a lot to cover. PriceIsKing.com. Make sure you comment, make sure you like, subscribe to this channel. It helps me grow. Let's get started. We have things like Dow Jones, the S&P 500, NASDAQ. We're going to take a dive at oil, see where oil's at. We're going to take a look at gold, and we are going to take a dive into a few stocks, analyze them, talk about them, and see where they're headed. At the same time, we are going to be talking about a strategy for the week, right? And what stocks to look at in the upcoming week. And because a lot of you guys don't have the ability to short stocks, and you only have the ability to go long. And so we're going to dive into a few stocks where you can get in long this week, even with the market going down so much in the past few weeks. A lot of the investors are in it for a long term. They're not in it as a day trader. They cannot stand in front of a computer or sit in front of a computer while they're doing their day job, right? And so because of that, I'm going to show you a good set of stocks that possibly could go up this upcoming week, even with the down market. And mind you, even if the next few days the stocks go down, it's perfectly okay. Maybe there's a buying opportunity, and you can take that, hold on to it for a few more days, or if you're a swing trader, maybe a week or two, maybe 30 days, and take the profit, right? And so let's get right into it. I have the MNQ in front of me right now. The MNQ is just a micro version of the NQ. Before we get into this, why don't we start with the Dow Jones? So what ended up happening with the Dow this past week? We're looking at the day chart right now, the daily chart. We know this past week was a bloodbath, right? And I talked about it the other day. We had a lot of higher lows, lower highs, right? And it was a little bit of confusing because, like, we saw this and this, you'd immediately think, though, okay, you know what? It had a higher high. Maybe there is a buying opportunity over here, right? And we talked about this, right? There was a lot of pressure down here, and if this didn't held up, it's going to continue going downwards. And that's exactly what ended up happening. And now what we're looking at over here, just this particular screen, is we have the 50-day moving average right here, and we have the 200-day moving average. One of the fundamental things that I look at is where the price is in terms of these two indicators, right? These two moving averages. Right now, just by looking at it, what's happening? You see this? It's about to cross. Usually what I look at is when the 50-day is above the 200-day, it's an uptrend. No matter what happens, you're looking at uptrends, right? If there's a dip, get in on it. Dip, get in on it, as long as the 50 is above. But now we're getting to a point where the 50-day is about to cross below the 200-day. We don't know if this is going to cross. The next few days, maybe the next 10 days, will ultimately decide whether it's going to cross. And that death cross is basically telling us that the bears are in control. And when the bears are in control, that means they're taking the stocks further downwards, right? And it's going to continue that bleed, right? Now we looked at it, and we've already seen our support area break. Okay, this was the first level of support. It broke. Then a second level of support has broke as well. You see this right here, that has broken. I talked about it the other day. If this doesn't hold, we're looking like the next leg down. And if you think about it, right, like this was the good area for a support, and it didn't hold. Next line of support is this area, which also technically, it touched it. We don't know if it's going to hold. I don't think it's going to hold, just because it's just maybe one candle that's going back all the way over here of last year. Now, what I do see is this area. This area is the next leg down, and this was back in March. Okay, because this didn't hold the next set of area, and if you're gonna look at it in that perspective, okay, we are looking at technically somewhere around this is where it's going to try to gravitate towards, right? The Dow is going to gravitate toward that because there is no other support in this area. Technically speaking, there isn't any support, right? What are we looking at? We have an oversold condition as well. The RSI is looking towards like it's way below the 28 right here, which I technically look at, right? And generally, like, it hasn't gone as low as that in such a long time. Recent times it has, and you saw that there was a buy up, and that could certainly happen in this case, and it will, right? Because look, you had 3 days of huge red candles. There's going to be some profit taking. If there is a lot of short takers in the market, there's going to be a lot of profit taking, right? And what that means is people will come in and buy and take profit, and that'll drive the prices back up. And those typically are fake rallies, right? That's what I like to call them, as fake rallies. People taking profits, and then ultimately it continues to bleed down south, right? And that's what it may happen here. And the reason why I believe that is because look at the MACD. You're looking at the MACD, and you can see that that has also broke the support, and we have this cross that happened several days ago, and it's going to continue downward, and I believe it's going to continue all the way down here. And that is when you'll see that in the next few days there'll be some buying opportunities for short-term traders, those day traders that come in and take advantage of that. That is when you'll see some of these green candles, but then ultimately we'll try to break down, right? If the bears are still in control, they will take that down further, okay, and that'll bring it into this area. And if you're a long-term trader, you wouldn't get in long right now. You would actually probably try to look at this area. If, say for example, it stopped in this area, it's certainly you should add, right? And then when it goes down further down here, maybe you want to take and add it further. So that's what's going on with the Dow. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. Check out /ES. All right, so let's see what's going on the ES. Similar situation. I mean, everything was down, right, this past week. A lot of just negativity, negative sentiment. A lot of sellers just coming in and taking it down, right? There's a lot of things going on with just the economy itself. At the same time, the war, or in the Middle East area, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it Middle East, but the Gaza Strip, whatever. All of this, has a lot to do with it, right? So on the ES, we have the 23.6 being held in as a support, right? We talked about this, that this was the next leg down. If this doesn't hold, that's what ended up happening. We went down to the 23.6 on the Fibonacci's, and now it's looking like it's about to hold, right? Let's see what happens when the market opens up today. Now, obviously, Sunday is an abbreviated session, so come Monday morning, let's see what ends up happening, right? You could see potential of buyers coming in and taking profit, and that's maybe what you'll see as the futures rise in the beginning part of the session. We don't know if the bulls could handle it, and if they are not able to handle it, they're going to continue to bring this down, and they're going to try to break this support area, right? And when I say break this, I mean we're talking about a good, like if you were to take a certain number of these sessions, and you'll start seeing actually, oops, wrong. Like if you go ahead and map this over, you'll notice that we have a couple of areas for support, and it's got to break it in. And if it doesn't hold in, it will break it, and it'll continue down to the next leg down right here, which is around 40.59. Okay, so that's what's happening on this the S&P. Now, this is different from the Dow, right? We see a lot of support in this area, so there's a possibility of this being an area where it might hold up. Okay, critical junction point is this right here. If it doesn't hold, then we're looking at a bigger leg down all the way down over here. Okay, and so you have to be mindful of that. And when I look at, remember in the previous example that I showed you, we're looking at the 50-day, which is right over here, the 200-day, which is right over here. As you can see, they're getting closer and closer to narrower, right? They're getting narrower. And so what that means is there's a possibility in the next week that this could cross, right? And we're looking at that death cross. And that could happen, it could not, it may not happen, right? I mean, if you go back and look at time, you see what happened over here. It did a cross above, and then it crossed back down, right? And then it did a cross back up. Right. As soon as you start seeing that in the past couple of days, like if you look at this, right, when you see the difference between these grow, that means the bulls are in control. And in this case, we didn't see that, right? We didn't see this growing. It just kept on hovering with another. I mean, this one tried to say, okay, you know what, the bears are in control. But then, you started seeing this curve again, so we really didn't know if the bears were really fully in control. And so that could play along the line in this area as well, right? It could get closer and closer, but if we don't see it, we won't know definitively if the bears are going to be in control. What we can assume is, look, the RSI has gone below a substantial number. You got the oversold area, right? When you look at the oversold area, this indicates that, okay, you know what? This could be a potential area for buying, right? This could be a potential area because you have an oversold condition. You have this big gap on the MACD, and you haven't seen such a low in the past year. You haven't seen it go out as low as it has. So there's a possibility that this may just kind of hover around in here and then wean its way back up. Okay, so be mindful of that. If you are thinking of a long in the next, you've seen such days of it going down further, and if you want to look at a long, this may be a potential for your first long position. And when I say first long position, I mean like, okay, you know what, the rule of thirds. Remember, you follow the rule of thirds from my course, and you will go ahead and realize how powerful it is, right? You can go ahead and add a position here. When it breaks down in this area, you add a second, well, actually around this area, you probably add a second position, and then final position would be this area. Okay, and then that's how you would kind of add your position if you're a long-term investor. If you're a short-term, obviously, you're going to look at possibility of a short-term trend right here where the buyers come in and take profit. You may want to ride that wave for a short period and take your profit and walk out. That's what a short-term trader would do. Okay, so this is what's going on the S&P 500. Now, let's go into the NASDAQ and Q. So you see this big jug handle? I don't know if you could just, like, if you are to kind of take a look at this. Let me see if I have any sort of free fall tool. I actually don't have any free fall tool for some reason. But as you can see, this right here is like a big jug handle, okay? An upside down jug handle. And so what I see is this area. Remember, I was targeting, like I even have this bubble that it's a possibility of it gravitating towards that bubble. And as it gravitates towards this bubble, this is where you want to possibly look at a position to go long. Okay, now remember, I think the other day I'm even on the video, I even mentioned that, look, this is a fake rally. If you look at one of my short I'm sorry, a short video that I did on the YouTube Shorts. I even said, hey, is this a fake rally? And that turned out to be exactly that, right? It took it up as far as, look at this, to about 404. Okay, and then the bears kind of shut them down and brought it way back down. Okay, even though it's a green candle, the bears were fully much in control. Okay, so now the 200-day is right around here, and you got the 50-day. I mean, there's a big gap. Obviously, it's going to take another week or so for us to realize how close this 200-day and the 50-day is going to get. Okay, and when that happens, we'll know whether or not, the bears are going to be fully in control for the next few months, or are they going to just be doing this for a short period of time, and then the bulls are going to come back and take charge. Okay, so what we know for sure is that it broke this support area. It's about to break this support area as well. I mean, it broke two points on the 38.2. It's already been broken on the fibs. And then the next leg down was right here. Now the 200 is very important. It's got to hold this area. If it doesn't hold this area, we're looking at the next leg down, which is in this area. And then this is a major support area. And if bears cannot, finish it, if they can't finish it, then it's going to go back up. But if they are full strength and they're in full force and they're coming in and they break this area, the next leg down is right around here. Okay, so if you are a bear, then these are the two critical areas. You want to try to take it down further. If you're a bull, you have very limited room. I mean, you are in the sort of oversold area, but it hasn't broke our lower threshold yet. At the same time, on the MACD, there's a lot of room to go further down. Okay, so if you're a bull, just be careful, right? If anything, you would add in this position and then maybe come down and add in the next leg wave down. But I would highly avoid going large on any one position. So just be mindful of that on the NASDAQ. Any questions, any comments on any of these three, please make a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think otherwise, right? Like, what is your thoughts on these three instruments, right? And futures, if you're trading the full futures or you're trading the minis, the micros. I mean, if you look at the micros, they do the same thing as the regular futures, right? You're in the same boat on the micros if you're on the smaller account. So with that said, let's dive into oil, right? Remember I talked about oil beginning of the war. Let's see where things are. Is it going to go further down? Right now, as you can see, the 38.2 is being a good support, right? I mean, it's bringing it down. It's trying to bring it down, but this is probably a good area. I mean, if you watched my video the other day, I talked about being a good area to buy. Okay, and it actually hit 85 and change. Right now, we're looking at this mid band on the Bollinger. Right, the Bollinger mid band is trying to hold it in, and you got the 50-day average trying to hold it in. Okay, this is on the upside, so you got a little bit of resistance. Right, oil has a little bit of resistance, but I have pretty good confidence that this is gonna break. The bulls are gonna come in charge. They're gonna take this up further, and then the next leg that I see is trying to hit this 23.6 marker, 87.78. So we're looking at this area, right? So in the next few days, maybe a week, this is the area that it will hit. Okay, and so as long as the bulls continue to charge, and I have pretty good confidence that they will continue to charge further up. Okay, that's what's happening on oil. And we are, I mean, look at the RSI, it's pointing upwards. You have a small mountain that I usually look at. I mean, if you were to look at it, look at this one was a lot bigger, and so obviously the bears were in charge, and then started slowly creeping up, and then the next leg down. It hasn't gone as further down as it previously did, so bulls are clearly showing some strength here, and that will ultimately take the curve and then bring it back above the zero line. Okay, this is what's going on oil. And let's take a look at the next thing that I mentioned was the gold futures. So we haven't really talked about gold futures at all in these daily summary videos. And so why don't we take a few minutes here and talk about gold and see, I know a lot of traders are always looking at seeing where gold is headed towards. Let's take a look. Alright, so I didn't add a fib on this. Let's try to see if I can add a fib and see where we got the low here. Got the high over here. And then you got this downward over here, okay? So at this point, gold is on its way up. It's tearing it up. Alright? It came down. There was a pretty period of sideways movement here. We have, let's take a look at everything. Okay, so we got the fibs. The next pointer that it's looking at is this 50%. Okay, so 50%, we're looking at $2,055. That's where gold is headed towards. Right now it's 2016. We're looking at gold all the way over here. It's hovering right over this, and it broke out the high, the previous high a few days ago. Alright, so if you want to get in, wait for another leg up, wait for it to come down in this area, maybe the 2010 area. Maybe that's a good area for long. And if you typically, I would take the half of it, and 2005 is where a number if you want to go long. You go long on the 2005 area, and then exit out around 2040 if you want. Okay, so this is on its way up. Clearly from what I see, right? You have an overbought condition, which is fine. I mean, there's this period where it's going to come down here, where it'll give opportunity for people to buy, and then it'll continue a little bit on its leg up. I see, look at this mountain, it's green. Certainly, if we had looked at this a little bit earlier, there was an opportunity for buy and we missed it. But I typically don't trade gold. I know a lot of my followers do follow gold, and they asked me to look at gold, and so I've taken an opportunity here to dive into it. And so without looking at the fibs, let me remove the fibs for a few minutes, and I want to show you kind of the support areas, right? So there was this support over in this area, and it never actually made it down all the way to this area, but it kind of held in, I guess, in this area. Really didn't have any good number, but it did hold it in right over here. And you had this green candle. Again, I don't follow gold news, so there's a possibility of some news that probably came out and drove this thing back up, and I have a feeling that the war drove this up. Okay, so now you had that support, you had another level of support here, then you got this resistance that it's trying to touch right here, right? So it will touch this resistance point, and then it'll come down, and this is where I was talking about. When it does come down here, you want to buy, and then obviously, some of the trend is, right, and some of the technique is, okay, you let it break, you let it come down, and then when it comes in, this becomes a support, that's when you would go in long. Okay, that is certainly a great trading strategy. If you have the patience, that is what you want to do. You want it to break this resistance point, let it go up a little bit, have it come down and make this a support area, and that's when you get in long. Okay, because right now what ends up happening is it'll touch this, it'll come down, and you may be like, oh damn it, what happened? So this, you wanted to wait. Maybe if you want to get in when it comes down here, maybe add one position, and then when it goes up to here and brings down, add your second position. That is how you do the thirds. Okay, so right now it'll touch this, it'll come down, you add your first position, then let it break, and then when it goes up, so here let me draw, let me do some drawings. So it'll touch this, it'll come down somewhere around here. Okay, you add your first position, then it's going to go up here, it's going to break, it may, you know, go up to somewhere around here, then it's going to come down maybe somewhere around here. That's when you go add your second position, then your gold right there, right? That's the way it's going to end up going. There's a possibility of just going sideways for a little bit, but I feel like with the war that's going on, you'll see more of this. Okay, and then the next area that it's going to target is the high. Okay, the 2085. That is the area where it's most likely going to navigate towards. Okay, obviously it's going to try to break these previous highs. Right, you got a lot of resistance in this area, and so that's maybe this may go up to here and then come down. Okay, because I see that. Right, so maybe the idea is it'll go here, and then this little bit over here. Oops, activate that drawing. Oops. And what's going to end up happening is it's going to come down here and then take this and possibly, you know, go down and hit the highs. Okay, so this is what's happening on the gold front. All right, a lot of upside. I see gold continuing to move up. I mean, you see $17 is up on Friday, right? Certainly there's going to be some profit taking, so it'll come down a little bit. Maybe that's a position you want to get into. But let's take a look at gold in the next few days, in the next week. Comment and what your thoughts are on gold, and we'll take it from there. So with that said, we did a lot of the futures. I don't know if you want to do any other futures, but that is something that I generally look at. Let me see if I have any other futures. Let's see, futures. I don't know if I have I thought I did. No, I don't have any other futures position. Okay. Alright, so anyways, with that said, let's take a look at, let me see. Okay, so why don't we, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna show, that's because the markets are closed right now. Alright, so with that said, let's dive into a few stocks. I'm gonna dive into maybe the few biggest ones, and then what I'll do is I'm going to show everybody, and this is what I've been telling you in the beginning of the video, I'm going to show you a technique where you can actually look at, and this is what I'm going to be offering as part of the perks, is I'll offer a video that shows what's happening in the upcoming week for a particular set of stocks, and then that could be a potential to get in. Certainly if you want to capitalize on a short-term trend up, you want to get that stock, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So stay tuned here, but let's take a look at the 3-4 big stocks that we always look at. Start with Apple. Let's see what's going on with Apple. Alright, so with Apple, alright, we had a couple of resistance line here, we had a support line here, support line broke, this support line broke, and then we're at this support line, and it kind of looks like it's holding in, right? This is maybe a good area where it's, you know, holding it in. Now we got earnings seasons coming out, right, on this upcoming week. So what do we got? We are Thursday. Okay, Thursday is the earning day. Okay, cool. So be mindful of that. Very, very mindful. This is the support area. We got the 50-day here, the 200-day here. They're all getting close. At this point, I don't see any more support on the bottom side. So the next leg down would be possibly this area. So you want to be careful in this area. And then the next leg down would be this area. Okay. And then after that, we're looking at somewhere around here. Okay. So these three are support. Obviously, you want to be mindful of earning season. So based on what happens, right? Like you had the 188, 152, 126. So let's see what happens here. All right. It could be a disaster. I don't know. I haven't followed the fundamentals on what the analysts are saying. What I'm looking at is technicals pointing a little bit upwards. We do have a downward pressure on the MACD. However, this could easily swing to the upside. Let's see what happens here. We do have. Ooh, okay, this is not a good news. So look, you had this really big mountain, but then you had these small mountains, but then now it's getting bigger. Bears are really trying to cross this previous low, and so that could be trouble for Apple here, right? And it could bring it down further. So yeah, be careful. Okay, maybe it might take it down for a few days, and then when the earning comes, boom, it might pop up. But just be mindful of that. You did have a lower high. However, you had this higher high, and so this may be, this is actually a lower low. So that could indicate a trouble. Indicate trouble, not our trouble. Indicate trouble that it could go further down. And if it does, this is the area. Okay. So this, if you're looking at going long, maybe go long around this area. And then be careful of earnings. That's what's going on Apple. Let's look at Tesla. What is going on in Tesla? Tesla is just having bad news after bad news. That earnings call was a disaster. And so that support broke. All right, now it's becoming resistant. So I think this is going to go further down. Let's see what the next support area is. Actually, let's see what, let's look at the downside on the fibs. All right, so we got the 58 right around here. Okay, and then you got the 61, which is the next leg down. So that's what you're looking at, okay? $200 for the stocks, and then if that breaks, you're looking at 177 as the next leg down. Okay, so keep an eye on that. Be careful. Maybe for long-term investors, there could be a buying area, but I think what you want to be extremely careful is this. Once it comes down to this area, this 152 area, I think I may even get long on this area. Okay, if it goes that far. Because this broke, the next leg down is down here and down here. Okay. Yep. So that's what's happening with Tesla. It needs some good news. Definitely needs some good news right now. It's just on a tear. All right, so let's see what's going on with Microsoft. Microsoft is on fire. Okay. So one thing, remember I talked about profit taking, all these players just kind of taking money off the table. They made a lot of money when this thing popped, right? So a lot of profit taking. You were riding on the upper Bollinger Band, right? And there was some resistance here. So what do we have here? We went as high as this. So this is the next leg up. 50 days holding it. The mid band is holding it. So guys, this is great I mean, if you were a swing trader, you would add a position right over here. Okay, obviously, there's some great news with the earnings. This is just opportunity. I mean, overall, the market just took it down. But if you had money, I think this would be a great opportunity to buy right around here. Okay, this big long green candle I don't like, but that's because there was a lot of pressure from the overall market, right? There's a lot of things going on in the market, a lot of news, right? You had so much news last week that just people weren't happy about. Even the earnings were great, and so that's why I'm saying, like, this could be a great opportunity. You add small here, and if it does go down, the next support is going to be 316 in that area. But I doubt that this is going to like tank, right? If anything, all these support areas are going to hold Microsoft in, and what it's going to do is going to try to make the high again, the 346, and then it's going to go itself up back to 360s. But it's got a lot of work to do, but it is doable. With Microsoft, it is definitely doable. All right. So that's the big three kahunas. Let's take a look at the next stock. And that one is going to be Datadog. Holy cow. What happened to Datadog, guys? Wow. Okay. So remember, many weeks ago, I predicted that this is going to hit this, and that's exactly what ended up happening, and that's because we saw the cross. Okay. Then all this stuff happened, but the earnings came out, and then now we got earnings over here, right? I would say, based on what happened at the previous, I would say possibly a great buying opportunity, guys. This is going to be one of those stocks that may get hammered for short term, but I think this is a stock that's definitely deserves to be above 100. It's got a lot of riding on it. It's got a lot of AI potential that's riding on it. Certainly, doesn't look good being broken, the support being broken. The next support down is right around here, and then you're looking at a low right around here. Okay, so you're riding along the lower Bollinger Band right here. Okay, so this Bollinger Band, it's going to continue to ride until it breaks, right? So and this may happen for the next few days, because look at this, earnings season is right around the corner next week, not this week, but the next following week, and so that could be either make or break it for them. Obviously, I think there's going to be some positive news for it. The only thing that I don't like is riding the lower Bollinger Band. It could break out and then boom, back down. But one thing I don't like is this 50-day moving average is trying to cross below the 200-day moving average, and when that happens, I am not happy camper, and I don't want to go long until I see something different. Okay, so definitely momentum is on the lower side, unless I see something that says, okay, you know what, the 50 is going to stay above the 200. I would stay away from longs, but at the same time, like, this is a great company. If anything, I would buy in the 78, 77 area and probably try to go long, buy a small position, and then as it goes down further out, down to the 70s, maybe even the 60s, if it does. I don't think it'll go down to the 60s, but if it goes into this area, add your second position and then wait for the hundreds to come back to take profit. But certainly I'm very good and happy about this stock. So with that said, I know we've been talking about close to 40 minutes. I want to now get into what I've been talking about. I know you guys have been waiting for this. I'm going to give you a couple of stocks to look at, and this is what's going to happen for the next few days. Okay, this is a short-term swing trade. Tomorrow morning it could pop, and for that pop you want to take profit, and this is what I'm going to talk about. So let's get right into that. All right, so let's talk about what's going on here. Okay, so I've been talking about trying to find stocks that are gonna pop this upcoming week, and what do I look at, and why do I look at it the way I look at it. And what I do is on Thinkorswim platform, right? What you want to do is, and if you're using some other platform, I'm sure they all have this capability. But what you want to do is you want to plug in certain criterias, and you know, I look at three things, right? The RSIs, the MACDs, and some of the Bollinger Bands. I also look at, you know, crossovers, potential crossovers. And so what I end up doing is on the scan, right? I end up plugging in these things, and I have certain criteria that I follow, right? Like, I don't want to trade penny stocks. At the same time, I don't want to trade very heavy stocks. Like heavy stocks as in the sense that I don't want to be trading something that's $300 like Microsoft, right? Certainly I will do those because I have the capability of doing them, but like a smaller account size, people that don't have a lot of large capital in their accounts, they may not be able to ride a stock. And so you have the ability to plug in these things, right? So if you want, you start off with a number, like you say $5, and you typically put in what, you know, stock price you want to maximum pay for, right? So let's just say 50 in this case, right? When you put that in there, you look at also volume. In the last couple of days, you want to also look at volume, and you want to look at the market cap. You don't want to buy just some small company either, right? You want to have a minimum of certain value cap for that company, because at the end of the day, you don't want to buy a stock and the next day the company goes bankrupt because it went down for whatever reason, right? And so the criteria that I look at is the RSI crossovers, and then you can also plug this in, you know, different things, right? I look at different things, and you'll see when I put out the videos for that, I put out videos so that it shows you a list of stocks, right, that break certain these criteria. So when I run this, I say, okay, you know what, when it crosses above 70, or, you know, the last 14 strength, you know, I put in plug in these numbers for the RSI crossovers, and I pretty much run it, right? I hit the scan button, and they're gonna give you a list of stocks, right? So let's take this for example, right? I'm gonna move the screen to the side and then plug this in. You got gas, QB, Fro. Let's take one by one. Okay, so let's take GASS. Okay, so let's see what happened. Holy cow, there was a big pop. Okay, so we saw this big pop, right? That had certainly had to do with something, right? There could have been news, there could have been something that's happening, right? And certainly you can click on level 2 news here and find out what happened. Stealthcat rises 60% after increase to share buyback program. Okay, so they had some buyback program, so that's why it's popping. Okay, but look at this. I mean, it just went from here to boom, pop. Did it cross over here? It's above the zero line, and it made the cross. Okay, so tomorrow when it goes down to like certain areas, you want to go ahead and, you know, take a long and then exit out after maybe 20-30 cents. Okay, this is for short-term gains. Okay, you're not looking at holding this stock, because I have no idea what gas is, right? Like I don't care about this company. I just care about taking a profit and walking all the way there, right? So when you look at these, the next stock, let's see, what was it, CUBI. So let's see what's happening with QB. So it also has something similar, right? It was riding some sideways momentum, and then all of a sudden pop. Right, what happened? It crossed over the MACD, it crossed over the 70. So you had this overbought condition, right? And in this case, right, I mean, if you guys have capability of doing a short, you can certainly ride a short, and it's going to come down over here for maybe a few dollars, but then that's where you would go long. But I mean, I'm looking at the earnings here. 77, 158, 165, 259. I mean, you know, the momentum is people are going to buy, right? So if it comes down here, and that's why the stock popped $6. Okay, so profit's going to be taken. It's going to come down. You want to take a long, and then obviously, you know, maybe exit out at 42, because I think that's the next high. Okay, so maybe take $1 or $2. So say you had $1,000. If you had $39,000 sitting around, You buy 1,000, get out at 42, $2,000 profit. Okay. All right. I mean, obviously, please, by all means, put in your risk markers. Make sure you're, capable of taking these type of risks, right? Certainly, not everybody can buy $1,000 worth of the stock, but that's something that you can always consider. Let's take a look at the next stock. GFI. What is GFI? Goldfields. Okay, I'm not even sure what this is. But okay, so what's going on? Is it GFI? Sorry, it is not GFI. I don't know where I get GFI from. It's FRO. Okay, so FRO popped. See what's going on with FRO. So it went above, crossed above to 70. It's, oh wow, look at this. It's gone way above and got a bigger mountain from the previous one. So it's definitely something that's going on. What do we have? 85. Let's see what the news says. A look at into energy sector value stock. Jefferies maintains hold. Futures clouded by takeover bids. Okay, maybe there's a talk of potential takeover. $19 or something. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so again, it's gone up. Next thing, it went up as high as 22. Looking like it's going to go up a little bit further. Wait for a pullback and take the long and then get out for a few cents. Okay. Again, short term. This is very short term. You don't want to hold these stocks because they're already high up here. They could come down and come down crashing. Next one is INSW. What happened to INSW? Alright, so let's see. INSW, it broke the high, the previous high. Okay. It's actually looking like it's still continuing on its way up. Okay, so definitely going to hit $50 for sure. Okay, so it's more gravitating towards the $50. If you get an opportunity, buy in the 48 range, get in and then exit out at 50. $2 profit, take it and walk away. All right, I'm not in it for a long term. What is this company? International Seaways Incorporated. Okay, I'm not interested in the company. I'm interested in a position where I can make profit. So what is it? ATGE. Atlantum Global Educational Incorporated. I have no idea what this company is either. But looks like it had some earnings seasons news. Okay, so certainly some good news. Crossing over the RSI as well. Some volume pop. Went into the 50s, as high as 50s. Okay, similar situation here. It's going to come down. There's going to be some profit taking. Take it and then ride it for a few cents or $1. But don't not hold on to this. I have no idea what this company is. Watch your risk. TK. Alright, so what do we got here? It's going continue to its up. It's crossed over the RSI. Okay, so next leg up is right here. So it's targeting this high. So even if it gets closer to the upper Bollinger Band, which is 717, this maybe is not as long. We would have got the volume is pretty okay. You want to probably take profit. Wait for profit takers, maybe around this area, and then try to bank on $1 or 50 cents. In this case, 50 cents. And try to profit and walk away from there. Okay, so you get the idea, right? This is what I typically look at and see where stocks are popping. One of the other things that you can look at is similar situation. You can do the same exact thing with histograms. For example, let me take a look here. You put the MACD histogram crossover from positive to negative or from negative to positive, depending on what you guys want to do. If you only want to go for longs, you want to see where these guys are going from negative to positive and when it did, right? So let's look at SKYW. What is SKYW? SKYW. Okay, so what happened here? Okay, news came out. Looks like earning seasons, right? So one of the things I like to see is, look, there was a crossover and it's gone above this, and it's gravitating towards the upside. Okay, so certainly there's some value here. It's going to go above the 50-day, and it popped. So look like it's going to gravitate toward this 46 range, right? So if you see a pullback for profit taking, you may want to get in and then ride it up for a few bucks. All right, so this is the technique that I use. You should continue to do your own due diligence, because it's important that like, I don't look at the name of the stock, I don't know what the company does, but certainly I always look at potential, right? And that's why when I put these criterias in, I'm always looking at certain value, right? We want to make sure that the market cap is above 50 million. There's some volume, right? You don't want to have to be worried about not being able to exit the trade. So one of the other ones that I want to show you is the moving average, right? Remember I always talk about this 50-day moving average being above the 200-day moving average. So I also put in a scan for that, right? And so that scan is basically saying, okay, look, I put it, if the 50-day crosses above the 200-day, show me the scan of that, right? And it showed me, and then you can put in additional filters in here, right? So right now I put in the stocks between 5 and 30 just to kind of give you an idea, right? And so it gave me a whole bunch of stocks. All right, so let's take a look at that and see what ends up happening, right? So Geo was the first one. All right, so Geo, what ends up happening, right? This is, what is this, Geo Group? I don't know what this company does. It's $8. It's on a tear downwards, and then all of a sudden I see some upward movement, right? But look what happened right here. We had a crossover. The 50-day crossed over the 200-day. Okay, and so that's a good sign for turning positive. And you can see that, if you're paying attention, you see that there was a whole bunch of sideways trading, and then all of a sudden it's going up, right? And now there's an indication that the 50-day is above the 200-day. That means there's positive momentum there. Okay, when that basically telling me that, okay, you know what, the stock is going to continue to go upwards. And it actually showed right over here that it's actually crossing over and trying to cross over this, right? Obviously there's going to be some resistance initially, right? But it's trying to do that. And on Friday it probably took the stock down because the whole market was down, right? So now, if it continues to down, I think I would probably be getting in the 60s, right? $8.66 or 70 cents. You'd probably want to buy, because that's 50 is above the 200, right? Momentum is up pretty positive. This shows that it's bottom, but I don't anticipate it being like going down, because I see the MACD above the zero line, and I see a green bar coming up. Okay. So this is one possibility of taking longs, and obviously be mindful of your risk, right? Let's take a look at the next one, the GFI. GFI, similar situation. It's crossing above the 50-day, right? It's crossing 50-day moving average is the green one. So now sometimes you're like, oh, wait a minute, but what happens if it's just going sideways? We don't know. How can you tell? Well, you're not going to be able to tell unless you look at other things, right? And that's where, if this doesn't satisfy you, like I don't like it either, right? Like, but I see that there's a support, there are multiple supports in this area. At the same time, I saw higher lows. Yep. So certainly that, and then this is above. Obviously the mountain was a lot bigger than the previous one. This could cross down here, and then that could be a buying opportunity, and maybe that's what we'll see here, maybe in the $13 range. But definitely looks like a buyer, right? Like for short-term, right, gains. So, and you can see this candle right here. The bears couldn't pull through, and so the bulls came right up and took it up. So certainly there's some momentum there, right? So that's GFI. The next one on the list was CRGY. Okay, this is Crescent Energy Company. Again, another energy company. Alright, so what's going on here? We got a lot of sideways movement, and then 50 days. Okay, this one actually I like a lot better. And the reason why I like a lot better is because you have multiple green candles, you have an upward trend, and you got the crossover above the zero, which I'm liking a lot, and the smaller mountain and the greens. So certainly this one is a positive, right? Like I would buy this right now, CRGY 12, and probably get rid of it around 13. Okay, so if you had $1,000, maybe, you know, you can make $700 or something, give or take. Buy it and then get your exit out. So that's how you would plan for this week. And then let's take a look at another one, which is a weird one, UONEK. Urban One. I'm not sure what this is. Urban One. Okay, I don't like this stock because I should have put some volume in it. I don't like the volume in this. And I saw the crossover, so I'm not liking it, even though the 50 days above it. So I'm not gonna buy this. I just don't like this stock. It doesn't look really good. A lot of choppiness. Not interested. And let's see, what do we got here? Okay. This one, it went down and crossed above. So you had this downward pressure, and then now it's all this profit taking. Certainly, what is this? Telecom, Argentina. Interesting. Any news on this? Top 4 tech, top 4 pre-bar gainers, press release, negative corners. Okay. Okay. Results. Earnings season. So certainly this is a buy area as long as it continues to stay up and the trend is up. This, I think it's going to go up. Yeah. Also, you know, cheap stock, so you can certainly do that. ASC is the next one. All right, so a lot of sideways trading here, and then all of a sudden on a breakout. Let's see. It's on its way up. It's crossing over here. The 50 days, definitely there was a lot of sideways. I don't like it, but it may be just leaning towards this earnings season that's coming up. So I would stay away from this. Looks good, but I'm not 100%. It doesn't look too good. Viper Energy. Okay, what is this? $28. It was on a downward trend, and then you had this change of heart, and it's getting closer. It's definitely crossed above the 200 day. I don't like this cross, so I certainly would not get in on this just because of this cross. Okay, if anything, I would actually watch this stock just because I like the uptrend, and I do like the fact that it's above the 200 day. The only thing I don't like is this cross, right? So maybe there could be a fake cross like this, like it went down in this. So I would say maybe wait till a few days, keep this on the watch list, try to see. That could be a potential buy if it goes down another few bucks. And so yeah, that's pretty much, you know, what's happening. So now this is one way to take a look at it. There's a lot of different ways you can scan. You can add and save your filters, your queries. There's so many different ways. I mean, I do have personal queries like Woody's. I don't know if you guys, those of you who follow the Woody's line, that is something pretty cool in itself. So Woody's, I don't think I have Woody's in here, but I can add that. And Woody's, alright, so here's what Woody shows. And for those of you that don't know Woody's, it's another indicator. I like it a lot because it does give you some good information. So let's say USAU. Okay, so USAU. Sorry. USAU. Okay, so I'll make a video. I think I already have this video in my training. But as you can see, the green bar, and you got the blue bar, and you got the green, right? So all of this indicates that it's going towards up, right? It's going to go upwards. Although I don't like the fact that the 50-day is below the 200, but everything else pointing like it's going to go up. And certainly this is on its way up. So certainly it's going to break this 50-day moving average. The stock is only, what, $3? So not a lot of risk you can take. Let's take a look at I think we took a look at BG&E. This is a $170 stock. It's on its way down. It's on its way down. Now it's sideways and then down. Okay, so overall picture shows that the momentum is down. The 50-day is below the 200-day, which I don't like. But short term, you got this going above, crossing above the zero. Okay, when it crosses above the zero, that's a potential area where you want to look at. And you see this, it's above, it crossed, and it's looking like it's going to go towards up. So this is possibly a good area to buy, and these are for short-term traders. Okay, so when you're looking at the 50 and 200-day, swing traders, continue to go further down south. This may be just for day traders where you go in, buy it, and get out, and walk away. Okay, so these are some of the techniques, trading strategy. You want to stick to one thing. Don't jump around. Pick one or two things that fit your needs based on your trading conditions and what you want to do, what you want to strive to do, whether you're a swing trader or day trader. You got to make a decision on what you want to do, right? And don't just blindly trade stocks based on what other people say. Take this into consideration. I hope you like this video. Please comment, subscribe, and like, and let me know what you think of this. If you had something that you wanted me to look at, put down a stock that you want me to look at, I can go ahead and look at it. I'll give you the technical rundown of it and see where it's going, and I'll be happy to make a video on it for you. With that said, we're going to wrap this video up. Sorry it was a long one, but I hope you got value out of it. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Price is king. Thank you so much for watching.